with me on a different level. So welcome to Weekend of Wonderful, hosted by Womanhood University. I am a life coach, fitness coach, author, and speaker. And so what that means is that I get the opportunity to really encourage people to live their best lives yet. And my biggest passion is to be able to spread that message to women and girls all around the world. My husband and I are business owners and travel quite a bit, being able to speak and just really make an impact everywhere that we get a chance to go. It's been a wonderful life. And I'm going to share a little bit of my behind the scenes and how I've gotten to the place where I am right now, and really kind of share where I'm going. I'm not at all at my peak. I'm just getting started, but I'm off to a good start. And I want to be able to share tonight some things that I know will help you in your pursuit of being the greatest person that you can be. As you become, you will attract everything you need. And you may have heard that before, but it is so true. And I'm hopeful that as you hear my story tonight, it'll inspire you to move to another level of belief. All right. So after we finish tonight, you'll have an opportunity to join me for something called Womanhood University. And I don't want you to be like, what is she up to? What is up her sleeve? Why is she hosting this webinar for free? There is more to the story if you want to be involved and be engaged in what we call Womanhood University. It's a 4-week online course where you get to walk with me literally for 4 weeks, and we're diving deep into womanhood. Because I realized that even though we went and spent hours in getting degrees and hours in academia, we were never taught how to be women. And that's usually everybody's story, is we're kind of guessing our way through what we think should be a woman, but we're really not secure in that. And so I want to be able to bring clarity to womanhood. And as you get clear in your womanhood, everybody around you will be better, simply because you're better. So we'll talk about that a little bit later. Are y'all ready? All right, those of you again who are just logged in, I want to encourage you to kind of scroll to the top of the chat room. I posted a link in there a little bit earlier of an e-guide that we created just for you. It's free, and you can download it. And that'll actually be the blueprint for tonight's webinar. So take time to download it. It will expire within the day. So do it now. And then let's walk through some time together. Everybody ready? I hope so. All right. On my screen, you should see on your screen the presentation for tonight. And again, it's called 4 Steps to Think Yourself Clear, or 4 Steps to Thinking Yourself Clear. And I'm telling you, these 4 steps are going to change your entire trajectory for 2018. I want to start first with, how do you know, or how do you get clear on identifying your life's work versus your busy work? And those of you who were in the room and you went ahead and took advantage of the poll that I had posted there, many of you all are in your busy work, meaning you're just doing things to make ends meet, but you know that there has to be more to life. And if you're following me, or if you are engaged with me in any kind of way, you probably have asked the question, there has to be more to life than this. Because that's the people that I'm sent to, are the people who are looking for more in life. And so I want to say this, listen, a purpose-driven woman admires other purpose-driven women. And if you're going to play on a level of purpose, right, you're going to bring yourself up to the level of living a life of purpose, you have to admire other purpose-driven women. If you find yourself being jealous, envious, or in competition with other women who are successful, you're not ready to play this game. You have to be able to mature in your inward being and be secure enough to rise to the occasion to understand that your purpose is your purpose and is not mine. And when you realize that, and you are able to rise to the occasion of understanding that your assignment is so much different than mine, we no longer are in competition. Because what you're called to do is completely different than what I'm called to do. And it's beautiful. And it is praiseworthy. And it is something that is necessary for both of us to do in the earth. So there's never a chance. There's never an excuse for us to be envious of one another. Because we've all been created to do something that is different. And our value is equal, right? And so if you're going to walk this life of purpose, I always talk about being kind of driven according to what your passions and desires are, according to the way that you've been designed. It will change everything about your life and even your pursuit of womanhood. And I want to walk you through this question. And this is the first question that you'll find in the e-guide that I posted. And that is, where is your best energy spent? If you're going to think yourself clear in 2018 and move into some of the best moments of your life, You have to understand and be able to recognize, where am I spending my energy? Because you can't, here's the real key, right? If I'm going and I'm going and I'm going, and every day I'm doing something, whether it be I'm going to work, or I'm spending my time volunteering in this place, or I'm investing in this relationship, or I'm trying to raise my kids to be a certain way, that requires something of me. And if I'm giving of myself in all these different avenues, which as a woman, that's what we do, right? We're always giving and constantly pouring. And if we're doing that, y'all, we need to make sure that we're giving our best energy to those who matter the most. So if I took a poll tonight and I asked you, what are your top priorities in life? Many of you would tell me your family is going to be at the top. God is going to be at the top. You may even include yourself at the top. But then if I asked you to kind of show me your scheduler or your calendar throughout the week, those three things that you just named typically are going to be in the back burner, because we get so busy being busy. And we're not intentional in regard to getting clear on our life's work. So tonight, I want to encourage you with this statement. And this is probably one of the best statements or most important statements I'm going to make tonight. And that is, you can't get better than obedience. And sometimes I think when we're trying to think ourselves clear, we can still be roving around in circles, because to get clear on what you've been called to do and what obedience looks like is really simple. It's just a matter of you doing it. Now, the timing in which you walk out the obedience is going to differ for all of us. There may be times that you have to literally jump off a cliff and just kind of fall into destiny. Right here I am. But then there's other times in which the secrets that you're looking for will come bit by bit. And so we have to allow ourselves to understand where our best energy is being spent. How do we do that? By taking inventory of where we are. So let's walk through a couple of things, right? This is what I realized, and I want you to realize it as well. The group of people that I'm called to has not changed. My life's assignment has remained the same throughout my entire being. I am called to speak to women and girls, and I know that. How do you identify who you're called to? Number one, you got to pay attention to who's attracted to you. Who do you, everywhere you go, who do you attract? Are kids always running up to you and want to talk to you or hug on your leg? Everywhere you go, does an elderly person always seem to engage in conversation with you? You have to pay attention to those little clues, because your purpose tells on you. And whoever you're called to are literally attracted to you no matter where you go. I realize that I'm called to women and girls. No matter where I go, there's always a conversation that a woman comes up to me. And it's interesting because I'll be a perfect stranger to her. But by the time we finish talking, my love is in tears. She has shared with me all her ups and all her downs. She has given me her entire history. She has told me about what she wants to do in the future, and then she just breaks down. And it's amazing because sometimes people don't even know what I do, but they are just attracted to something that is on the inside of me. My question to you tonight, as you think yourself clear, is who are you attracting? Because whoever you're attracting is a key to who you're called to. So what I realize, you all, is that sometimes whoever we attract helps us to identify what our life's work really is. But sometimes our life's work can change based on the seasons of our lives. So when I initially started in this pursuit of purpose, I was 20 years old in college. And I was like, man, there has to be more to life than just going to work, coming home, and kind of seeing everybody who was older than me doing that same rotation. You asked that question, right? There has to be more. And so I began to sit and reflect at 20, and that really changed my entire being. But I realized even then that my life's work, every season of my life, has always been to women and girls. So let me break it down for you. So I started at a very young age working at a gym. And I was working as a fitness instructor, working with women and girls at the gym. And then it kind of evolved from there into other business ventures. And every season of my life, whether it be training girls now who are on major platforms, models, pageant contestants, TV anchor people, really high profile clients, whether it be them or whether it be me coaching through Womanhood University, or whether it be me and my husband hosting power couples and me speaking to the hearts of women, my assignment to who I've been called to has not changed. What is my point? Your position may change based on the season of life that you're in, but the people that you're called to will never change. You are called to a certain population of people. And you have to get clear on who that is. Again, how do you figure that out? Who are you attracting? It's as easy as you taking notice of who is attracted to you. And then also who you are attracted to. Really important. I remember one time I was trying to figure out some things in my life. And you can actually post. I love that. Post who you think that you are attracted to and who attracts you. That's important. I remember one time I was just kind of trying to get clarity in my life. And I kind of just started just thinking about some things. And this is one thing that I remember, y'all. If you want to be promoted in life, you have to realize that your promotion has very little to do with you and everything to do with what you stand for. What if your promotion was simply waiting for you to develop the character that you needed so that you could handle the level of life that really is yours? All you need to do is shine your light consistently in the background, and soon enough, those that are hungry are going to come looking for you. Shine your light bright enough, and the people that you're called to will come looking for you. What does that mean? When I was in the background, in the shadows, right? When nobody knew who I was, I had to learn to develop personally into the woman that I wanted to become, character-wise. And as I began to develop that, and as I put the other pieces of the puzzle together, realizing that I was called to speak to women and girls, the platforms began to explode, right? The clientele that I have now only came as a result of me being able to have character behind the scenes. My point is that your promotion is on the way as long as you can handle behind the scenes character development. It's the private spaces that matter the most. So as you're walking into 2018 and you're trying to get clear, again, I want you to understand that the energy that you're expending on the outside has to now be turned into the inside so that you can develop the character necessary to handle your promotion. It's yours. So get clear on your life's work. There is nothing better than having clarity. You can't get any better than obedience. And for whatever is the deeper thing is what you want to ask. Listen, if you're trying to figure out how to get to another level of life, it's not as you asking for tangible things like material things, having maybe a car and those are great. A car, you need that, right? A car, a bigger house, more clothing. The material things really don't matter in as much as the deeper things. So what I want to challenge you tonight to do is to begin to say, what is it that I really need to develop in my life's work? Because it's not really the material things. What you really need may be wisdom. And that may need to be the question that you're asking or pursuing. What you may need is more knowledge. What you may need is more understanding. So when you go back tonight and you're talking to God after we have our conversation, I want you to ask him for some deeper things. Not just the surface things. I need you to dig a little bit deeper to say, you know what I'm really missing is this. And even though I've been asking for this surface stuff, I need to dig a little bit deeper to now pull out really who I am. And as you do that, things will begin to unfold. You got to develop greater habits this year. Okay? Life is about habits. My husband and I were talking earlier, and he said, honestly, Brooke, habits run the world. And he's right. What I've learned, y'all, is that those who are performing at a higher level of life all are doing the same stuff. They have the same habits. They get up early. And in that morning time, span of time, they are digging into themselves. They're not really working on the outside stuff. They're working on the internal things that nobody knows or sees. They're reading. They're developing by reading through books or listening to messages or seminars or things that will help them to be more masterful in their craft. And then they're running after the right information to help them develop. Let me tell you something. This year, you all, I realized that social networks are a major distraction for many people. Can you imagine how much time you spend scrolling up and down on your social networks, reading other people's stories, and it's great, right, to be able to connect in that way, but when it becomes where you are just simply scrolling online for the majority of your time in a 12-hour span of time, what happens every time you go to your social network is that you get distracted. And what I've done, y'all, is in my pursuit of living out my life's work is that I've allowed myself certain times to go online, and then I'm intentional about what pages I go to when I get there. I don't spend a lot of time scrolling. So I may not comment on everybody's post because I don't see it. At the very top, I've already selected who I want to follow, and then they are giving me something that's going to give me life. And so you have to understand, if you're going to live out your life's work, you have to be cautious about your environment and who is actually giving you life or giving you death. So if you're scrolling all day long, by the time you finish, this is what I want you to do. When you finish scrolling on your social networks, take inventory of how you feel. Do you feel better? Do you feel more accomplished? Do you feel more successful? Do you feel like it's adding to your understanding of who you are? Y'all, 99% of the time, the answer is going to be no. Why? Because we were not created for it. We were created to be around a community of others who are going to help us to flourish and to develop into our best selves. So I have to ask a question, and this is the last point on this slide, is what is giving you life? What's giving you life? Because if you're expending all your energy on social networks, or you're spending your energy on watching television or doing things that are taking you away from your purpose, then you have to then get clarity on why you're doing those things and then stop it at the root. Some things that we think we don't have time for are the greatest deceptions in life. Let me make it real clear for you. Oftentimes in life, if I asked again, what are your priorities? You're going to tell me God, family, you, friends. You know, you're gonna give me that list in some kind of way, and that's every woman's desire. But I'm gonna tell you this. Oftentimes, what's happening is that we say those are our priorities, but the deception of life is that the things that we really need to be doing, we say we don't have time for because we're so busy doing things that we shouldn't be doing, right? And so instead of you getting up and exercising, you stayed up too late watching a movie, so you're too tired to get up in the morning. Or instead of you reading like you should, you make the excuse that you just don't have time to read. So how can you read a book when you have so many other things to do? It's a deception. And I am convinced that the things that we need most in life are the things that we say we don't have the time for. And honestly, it's probably just a time management thing. And if we were to take maybe a break from social networks, or take a moment to only invest in the people who are causing us to live at our best selves, that literally when we leave their presence, you can feel the difference. When I have conversations with people who are giving me life, I feel like I have just got finished like climbing Mount Everest. I feel like I can win. I feel like I can fly. Can you think of some people like that in your life? After you finish talking to them, you feel so inspired to live life at the very top. There's just something about them. There's something about the exchange, something about their energy that causes you to want to live again. Take inventory of who those people are in your life, because they probably have a piece of the puzzle in regard to your purpose. I want to also ask you to get clarity in regard to your busy work, because many of you said that that's where you are, right? You're just working, and you're trying to figure out how in the world do I get off of this hamster wheel, is what I call it. And sometimes we don't even realize we're on a hamster wheel. I'm going to tell you what, you got to recognize where you are in the season that you're in. And I want to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you to take another survey with me really quickly. And this survey is about where you are in your life. Okay, I need to know. And so I'm going to share it with you. Again, nobody can see what you're polling, but take a minute at this second to go ahead and tell me where you are. What season of life are you in? Are you dreaming, meaning you're thinking about what is next? Are you planning? That means that you have a strategy in mind, and you kind of you're about to execute that strategy. Or are you in a transition phase, meaning you're moving from one thing to another thing? Where are you in your scope of life? Go ahead and post that in the poll. And as you're doing that, you got to understand then just the cycling of how that works, right? So you got to have a dream in your head, right? And typically that's where it starts. And then you want to transition that into execution, where you take the dream and then you kind of plan it out for whatever is next. And then you're going to execute that dream. And then you're going to transition from one place to another place. Again, take that poll. Let's see where you are. I see 11 of you have completed. Where are the other 6? Can you go ahead and complete that poll for me? Let's see where we're going to end up. And then we're going to show the results all together. But the greatest joy in life, y'all, that you're going to ever have is your experience with God. If you have not walked out on faith ever, then you're missing out on some of the greatest moments of your life. Now, faith doesn't mean that we're going to jump off a cliff every single time, but it does mean that as God speaks, we obey. And there may be little instructions along the way that will help us to get us to our ultimate end. But the instructions sometimes are a little bit challenging, but they can also be super fun. And as you change your perception on what it looks like to live out loud with God, you will be in amazement of what he will do for you as you simply obey what he's called you to do. All right, I'm going to go ahead and end the voting now. Let's take a look at where the ladies are in the room. Share the results. You can see it on your screen. Wow. Planning, so you have a strategy in mind, took the #1 lead at 29%. Yes, almost. I got execution, so we have a tie here. So some of you are in planning mode. Some of you are in execution mode, meaning you're going at it. Some of you are transitioning. That could be kind of scary, right? You're transitioning from one thing to another. And then a few of you are dreamers, which is great. You want to make sure that you roll through all 4 of these, because as you do that, then you're going to move into another level of womanhood. I'm going to tell you this really quickly, and I think it's really important that if you are in your busy work and you're trying to figure out how to get into your life's work, I want you to pay attention to what gives you life. Those are clues. They're purpose clues. And so if you can begin to embrace the season that you're in, even if you're not doing what you want to do, sometimes those seasons are important for us to get to the next level. When I had a job and I was making really good money in corporate America, I stayed there. Even though the money was good, I knew that there was more for me to go ahead and pursue. I stayed there until it was time for me to transition well. And sometimes I think we're a little premature in moving on to the next thing. You got to know when to jump and when to sit down and just kind of wait till it's your turn. How do you know that? How do you know when to jump and when to stay still? How do you know when to transition from your planning phase? One way that you'll know is by it's based on intuition and you kind of being in tune with your best self, but also just paying attention to the things that lie around you. Really key. And so if you're in busy work, my point is that sometimes busy work are the steps to get you to your life's work. And the busy work will teach you what you need to know so that when you jump into your life's work, you're ready and you won't sink. You'll know how to swim because you've done busy work for so long. So busy work isn't a bad thing, y'all. And I know sometimes it can get a bad rep because you see maybe other people jumping and taking leaps and doing whatever they want to do. Wait your turn. It's the best thing that you can do. All right, wait your turn. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the presentation so that you all can see. And I want to reiterate a few things really quickly. Get clear on where you are. If you're on a hamster wheel at this stage of your life, it's okay. It's just a matter of you recognizing where you are and then designing a plan so that you can live at a better level in the next few weeks, next few months, next year. But you got to have a plan. Don't step out prematurely. Wait your turn. And as you do, you'll begin to realize that what you need will continuously be added to you as you become the person that you need to become to sustain this level of life. It's a beautiful thing. Think yourself clear. Take some time to reflect. All right, second step really quickly. As you're moving into, I actually want to kind of sit here just for a minute and read this quote. There are things that you don't have time for. We talked about already. And I want you to kind of highlight this on your paper as well. That are the most important things, and they're deceptions of life. It's a deception of life to be busy but not well rested, right? It's a deception of life to say you don't have time to read, so you don't read. It's a deception of life to take care of everybody else and not take care of you. It's even a deception of life to say that you don't want to be alone ever, because to be alone is where you're really going to be able to flourish in some secret things that nobody else can share with you. It's the alone time, the reflection time that's really important for you to think yourself clear. All right, we're going to move on to number 2 for tonight's segment. And that is to execute an effective vision for you and your family. I'm really excited about this bullet point because I think as you think yourself clear, having an effective vision statement is really key. So I'm going to show you my vision statement. And I'm going to tell you what we do at my household. All right, so this is what our vision statement looks like. And it hangs on our wall. And every single day, and y'all see that? I feel like it's a glare. Every single day we read the vision statement. And it has become almost like our pledge of allegiance. So you know when your kids go to school, if you have children, they're saying the pledge of allegiance every day. Well, we pledge allegiance to our vision. Honestly, every single day. We read it out loud. Everybody in the house knows it and they can recite it. But what I realized, you all, is that even though it was written, it wasn't as powerful because we were saying it but not doing it. And I think sometimes in life, you can have things written down in terms of a vision, But if it's not being executed, which is why I use that word, if it's not being executed, it's not being effective. It's just hanging on the wall. And that's what a lot of us do. We'll start the beginning of the year real strong, be like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to go for it. But in terms of execution, we kind of miss it. We're not really living our best lives because we got the vision, but we haven't really made it plain. We don't even know how to run with it ourselves. So how can we teach others how to do the same, right? So vision is important. But honestly, the execution of the vision is what's most important. How to make a vision effective. This is the steps that we want to walk through. And on your handout, I've listed so many great benefits of writing an effective vision. But the vision has kept me and my husband and my entire family. In times in which we've had some rough moments, and times that really extremely, I want to say, volatile, out of our control. And it wasn't even things that we did ourselves. It was just like life happening. Some character building things that we had to walk through. Our vision kept us. Us understanding that there was something beyond the clouds in the sky, right? Understanding there was something behind the storm that was coming that was going to make us better than where we were, help us to remain grounded. Because if not, we would have walked away from the call, from the assignment. We would have been a quitter, right? And I think sometimes you could be on the edge of quitting in life. Be on the edge of wondering, is this worth it? Be on the edge of expending so much energy for everybody else and getting tired of being depleted by the time you get home. But I want to encourage your heart tonight that in order for you to be and to think yourself clear, to be able to have an effective strategy for how to get out of that cycle of just going around in circles, the vision itself has to be effective. What did that look like for me? So what we did was I took this vision, and one day I realized that we were reciting it, but the practical side of it was missing. So I began to write out our core values of what this thing really meant in a practical way. So what we did was we sat down with the boys and we said, listen, y'all, this is what we're going to start doing. Instead of, if we're going to be a family who's in agreement and like we're celebrating one another, then every single week we're going to take time on a Friday to celebrate what we did during the week. We can't allow ourselves just to celebrate on holidays. We can't allow ourselves just to celebrate on birthdays. Every single week, we're going to celebrate one another. So when we sit down on a Friday night and we're just simply having family time, we're exchanging what took place that week so we can begin to celebrate one another. Because what does that do? It brings life. And it allows my vision to not just be something written, but it allows it to come alive. The second thing that we did was we said, instead of us, always telling the boys what they did wrong, we're going to tell them what they did right. So we're going to speak life in this house. We're not always going to be criticizing one another and talking about what we did, to what we need to improve in. And no, we're going to speak life, and we're going to catch them doing what is right. And that has made all the difference in our relationship with them. Can you imagine missing that for the 18 years, if you have children, of raising your child? And then by the time they turn 18, all they know is what they did wrong and not what they did right. Can you remember when you were being raised? Can you remember what was said to you that was good? Can you remember what was said to you that was bad? See, that phrased your entire being. Those 18 years, those formative years, framed your level of thinking and your perspective of life. And so you want to catch yourself now doing good. You want to be able to write down your vision and then think of ways in which you can make it extremely plain so that it becomes alive in your house. Another thing that we said we would do is that we would study a principle. And what that means is every single week, whenever we have on a Monday morning, we will identify as a family maybe something that we just need to improve in, right? It may be as simple as, y'all, let's just make sure that this week we're focused on, giving. Instead of us going to the store and buying stuff, let's make sure that we're giving to somebody else who may be in need, right? So this week we're going to collect all our old clothes and we're going to give them away. Something simple. And then we'll focus on the principle of giving and how giving actually is better than receiving. And so we'll walk through that the entire week. What does that, that's included in our vision, that we'll be generous. But if I'm not being generous on a small scale, how can I be generous on a larger scale, right? It's just a matter of making things extremely plain, okay? So now I want you to take another poll with me. And I want you to tell me in this very short poll, where are you in your vision and is it effective? Nobody can see what you're posting. Take time at this moment to say, is your written personal vision effective? If it is, you'll say, yes, I can see the result of my vision already. I'm walking it out. It's awesome. And if not, you're going to say no. You can say, you know what? I don't even have a written vision, Brooke. Well, like, what are you talking about? So you want to go ahead and be extremely honest. And then I want to talk about how to make your vision more effective this year. Isn't that something? And I see the results already tabulating. And the majority of you are saying, no, my vision is not effective. Like, I started at the beginning of the year, I got something on paper, and by mid-year, I'm like, where's the vision? I wrote it down, I don't even know where that paper is, right? So you have to be extremely intentional this year. This is the key for clarity. If you can get intentional about writing out the vision and making it plain and then remembering where you wrote it, you're going to do real good this year, all right? So you want to make sure that you have an effective vision. Awesome. 16 out of 20 people have already taken that poll. Let's go ahead and share the results. Let's take a look so you can see it. Look at that, y'all. 60% of y'all in the room are saying no. It's written down, but I don't see any results of it. Isn't that frustrating? It's frustrating because then you begin to question whether or not vision even works. So let me tell you a quick story about how vision works. So my husband and I have this vision board, and instead of us cutting out, which I still do, I still cut out stuff from a magazine, but instead of him cutting out things from a magazine, we have a digital vision board. And everything that we want in life is on that vision board. And so one day, actually last year, we modeled for Disney, and we went to Italy to model for Disney. How crazy is that, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. Miraculous things just happen as you begin to become the person that you need to become. So we got this full paid in full trip to go to Italy to model for Disney. And while we were there, my husband and I, we went to the Colosseum in Rome. And we're walking up to the Colosseum, and actually, even before we went, we recognized this. So let me make sure I'm clear. One day we were sitting and we were looking at the vision board before we went to Italy, and we saw the Colosseum on the vision board. And what we realized is that what we had dreamt had become reality. And it wasn't even that we pursued it. It's just a matter of us putting it into the atmosphere and allowing literally angels to encamp about what we were believing and to pull it together in such a beautiful way to engage with life that it came to pass and we didn't even have to pay for it. See, your vision has to be something that's larger than you, but it also needs to include some areas that are a little bit attainable, right? That are smaller, that you can do right now. Because if your vision is so huge that you're like, how in the world am I going to do that? You begin to get so intimidated by the vision that you don't even know where to start. So it causes you to get paralyzed. And that's what a lot of people do. I love the fact to dream bigger. I'm a huge advocate of that. But if you're dreaming only big and you have nothing small to start with, you will never know how to get started. So dream both big and small. It's the key to life. And it'll help you to get clearer on where you are. Because if all that you're dreaming is so big, it's hard to be effective with that. That's what this was, right? This is awesome. This is a huge vision, but it's too big. It's too big for me to be able to recognize it. I had to break it down into bite-sized pieces so that it became effective. Is that helpful to you? Yes? Please let me know. Write it down, all right? So you want to write down your vision. Include your external desires, right? Like traveling all around the world. That's really what I want to do. But also things that you want to develop inwardly. They both need to be in your vision board. If they're not in your vision board, go back tonight or sometime this weekend to include inward things that you want to be able to develop in you this year, especially in your womanhood. Do you want to be more confident? Do you want to be a little bit more quiet, right? Do you want to be a little bit, want to have more silent strength? Do you want to be able to think more positively? What is it that you want out of your engagement with life? Because that's what you need to put before you. And as you do that, it's going to serve kind of as your, I want to say as your target. And that's why that target is on that page. It's going to serve as your target so you can shoot your arrow in the right direction. You want to take the guesswork out, y'all. That's what a lot of women are doing, is that they're kind of guessing their way through life. And guessing your way through life is going to get you nowhere. I remember one of my mentors talked about driving on the highway. He said, you're driving on the highway, you can take any exit you want to, right? You got your car, you're driving on the highway, you can take exit 1 or you can take exit 101. The exit that you take is dictated by where you want to go. So if you don't have a target in mind, you can take any exit, you can take any road, you can write down any vision, you can have anything attached to your vision board. But if it's not in line with your purpose, what's the point of it? You want to make sure that whatever you're pursuing is in line with your life's work and with your purpose. This is what I realized, is that a lot of women are spending money on things that has nothing to do with why they were created in the first place. It's a waste of time and it's a waste of energy. If you are, and I'll talk about me, so I won't talk about you, right? So I'm not offending anybody. But when I stayed at home with my sons, I didn't need a whole closet full of clothes, y'all. I'm outside playing in dirt and digging up worms. I just need some play clothes in my closet. And as times began to shift, and my wardrobe needed to shift because my entire life was shifting, and I had to travel more, and I had to speak more, and I had to create more videos, then my wardrobe had to shift. But the season of life that I was in literally 7 years ago was completely different than the season of life that I'm in now. So sometimes we could be spending money and effort on things that are not in alignment with the season of life that we're in. So instead of spending money on a whole bunch of stuff during that season of my life, I invested in a whole lot of seminars. I invested in coaching. I invested in books. My husband and I would travel on our own dime to go to leadership development type seminars. And that's why we are where we are today. It's because of the investment in that season. What is my point to you? Take inventory of where you are. Is it the season of planning for you? I asked you that question, and many of you say, yes, I'm in the season of planning, right? Then if you're in the season of planning, it doesn't mean that you go out and you spend a whole bunch of money on stuff that you don't need. It's time to plan. And so you want to go ahead and fund the purpose in that moment. You don't go out and buy a whole bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with the season that you're in, talking about you preparing for what is next. No, when that season comes, things will unfold for you very naturally, and it'll be very plain for you. Is that helpful? I hope so. So you're going to write down your vision, include inward desires and not just outward manifestations, and don't guess. If you're married, do it with your spouse. Don't do it by yourself. Yeah, you can have your own personal goal and your own personal vision. But if you're married, you want to make sure that you create a family vision that is inclusive of the both of you, not just you. Okay? And if he's not willing to write it down, then yeah, you go ahead and you write it down. And you want to try your best to work that vision. And hopefully he'll get on board. But if not, go ahead and create a vision for your household, because typically you're the influencer in the home. You want to place that strategy board somewhere that you can see it. And so oftentimes we're losing our visions. Many of you said, I have it written down, but it's not working for me. Sometimes it's out of sight, out of mind. So if you create a vision board at the beginning of the year, you stuff it underneath your bed. Yeah, I see why it ain't working, right? You want to be able to have that vision in front of you. And so how do you do that? You can do that very simply by posting it somewhere. I even this year will be creating kind of like this wall of vision, if you will, of where it is we want to head. I talked earlier about us having a digital vision board. We play it, literally. It's scrolling with places we want to go, people we want to meet, people we want to work with, that sort of thing. Make sure it's right in front of you. And then you want to remain inspired. This is another key that is so pivotal that I could not wait to share tonight. So I have two boys I mentioned earlier. They're ages 10 and 8. And I realized that they're homeschooled. And so at times when it was time for homeschooling, they were super uninspired, right? And they're kids. And so when in comparison to games, homeschooling is kind of like down here and games are up here. I get it. But I had to figure out a way to keep them inspired. So this is what I did. And it worked. And it's working for me now. And it may work for you too, even though you may not be a child, right? Is that I began to let them watch videos on other kids who were doing extraordinary things. So if they talk, I asked them, I said, first off, let's name your year. Tell me what you want to name your year. One named their year Unstoppable. The other one named their year Creative. And they talked about how they want to have an unstoppable year. One talked about how he's going to just keep living life. He's going to be unstoppable this year and do some things that he won't be afraid of. The other one talked about being creative. And he wants to be able to just have just so many different things and build his business and his brand. He's already written a book. So that's what he named his year. So then I found videos of kids who were being creative. And what it did, y'all, every time we watch videos on YouTube of kids who are entrepreneurs or kids who are living their lives beyond what is average, they sit in awe. They don't even speak. They watch the entire video in silence, and they are so inspired by these other kids. By the time I'm like, okay, y'all ready for math? They are so ready because they realize that they're going to need what they're learning if they're going to have a year that's unstoppable, if they're going to have a year that is full of creativity. It's just strategy. My question to you is, what are you missing? What is your greatest distraction? How are you living uninspired, right? And even if you are an optimistic person and you may be like, I'm so inspired, I'm living, I'm going to keep moving and going and doing whatever it is I want to do. Here's my question for you. Are you moving in the right direction? Because there's a lot of optimistic people who are totally on the wrong purpose plane. You got to make sure that if you are optimistic, that your optimism isn't deception and fooling you into thinking that you're living a life of purpose when you're really not. Sit and take inventory, and then make sure that you're being inspired by the right people and that you're surrounding yourself by the right community of people who are going to help you to live your absolute best life. That's how you live an effective vision. You got to remain inspired. This year, as you move into, this is the first quarter, right? But there's 3 more quarters. We ain't made it to halftime yet. So you got to make sure that if you're already, this is January 13th, and you're trying to move forward, that you're not uninspired already. You don't want to break your promises yet. We ain't even got through the first month. So if you talked about what you're going to do exercise-wise, and you're going to live at this level, and you're going to go out and do these things, make sure that it's rooted in truth. Make sure that the season is right for that. And then you can move into an effective vision that you're going to be very intentional about who you connect with this year. Super important. All right. Other things, y'all, that you can do to help your vision be more effective is we say the vision, but now we sing the vision or we rap the vision, right? Because my kids they want to be super cool. So they're like, we rapping this vision, mommy. We're not just going to say it. We're going to rap it. We're going to put some movement with it. So you can do the same thing. If you're driving in the car and you're having a bad day that seems as if things aren't working out for you, that's when that vision song needs to come back in your mind, right? So when you feel defeated, for your vision to say, I'm a live a victorious life this year. And for you to think of a song, I'm going to be victorious. I'm going to be, whatever that song is that you make up for yourself. When you get in the car, it's amazing how it'll come back to you. And you'll remind yourself in the most down times of who you really are. So sing it. Don't only write it out, begin to sing it. What is something else you can do to highlight your vision this year? You can begin to view it. What does that mean? Every single weekend, my family and I do something very special. So we have this vision board, of course, I talk about all the time, where we can see the different images. But I don't only want to see it. I want to be able to view it and touch it and smell what I want. So one huge thing that I want to do is travel around the country with my family in an RV. So my husband is not at all excited about this. I am super, who wouldn't be excited about that? He's like, why we got to drive? Can't we just fly? But I'm so excited about it. So what did we do? We went to the RV lot. And we went and I asked the guy, I'm like, can I just get into the RV? I'm not in the business of purchasing one today. Okay, I get it. But I just want to walk into it because I want to feel it. I want to touch it. I want to view it. And so that's what we've made a point to do. We not only see the vision, but we sing the vision, and then we view the vision. It will bring your entire engagement with life to a whole nother level. Get clarity in this year, you all. You were meant to dominate. You were meant to be on top. There is something so great about you that is not great about me. There's something that you can do that I can't do, and I'm going to celebrate you because I need you, y'all. The earth is like moaning for us to get in place. And so these little areas of a life that may be great for you, I want you to get clarity. And it may not be about things that you're doing outside of your home. I got to drive this home. You may just have vision for your home. There may be some things outside that are in your home right now that are completely out of order and you know it. I'm not just talking about if it's clean, right? I'm talking about your children are at odds. They're always fighting. That is a red flag for you to sit back and say, I got to come up with some strategy on how I can teach love in my house. I don't need them to grow up hating each other, right? I don't need them to be at odds. Or it may be where your marriage needs some work. And instead of you investing your time outside of your house, it may be you just staying at home and investing internally with your spouse, getting back the romance allowing yourself to fall in love again with him, right? That vision may not need to be things that are outside of your home. They may very well need to be things that are inside your home. So I have here for you to list your top 3 targets and make sure that you write those down and then talk about what is the benefit of you having a vision. All right, number 3, we're almost finished. I only have 4 things tonight that I want to walk you through. And the next one is to really cultivate some good ideas, okay? Really important. So sometimes we'll have ideas and we just think that they're fleeting, meaning they come and they go, right? And sometimes we're just not aware of the ideas that may be coming our way because we haven't been taught to pay attention to good ideas. And oftentimes whenever we have a good idea, we share with other people, you know, they may kind of cast it down. And so mentally you're just like, okay, well, forget that. They didn't think it was a good idea, so maybe it's not. And we begin to internalize and begin to question whether or not it is a good idea or not. But I want to encourage you tonight that if you've had some ideas in your heart and in your mind and they just keep coming to you, like they will not go away, I need you to explore them because that's a purpose clue. If you're thinking yourself clear this year, the 3rd step is to cultivate the good idea that keeps resonating in your heart. Your imaginations and your daydreams speak about who you are. Don't ignore them. They are key to whatever is next in your life. And it's also key for somebody else. Whenever you begin to realize what that imagination and that dream is doing for you internally, but also what it will do for others externally, it will be a driving force for you to get it done. All right? So cultivating good ideas. Good ideas will lead you to your great life. You will go from good to great. Everything in my life has come from an idea. And honestly, I'm always coming up with ideas. And what I do, and this is what I'm telling you will work if you do this too, is I have an app in my phone where I jot down all of my good ideas. I call them revelations, right? So I have an app called Evernote. And then all I do is I post all of my good revelations in my Evernote app. And literally they are all listed there. So I never lose sight of what I have or what I've been thinking about because it's already listed for me. And I realize, y'all, that sometimes we're just not good stewards over the ideas and the imaginations, or I would like to say, the sweet drops of honey that are coming from heaven. We just ignore them. And then we wonder why things aren't working, or we wonder why we're stuck in our busy work. Oftentimes it's because we've ignored a really good God idea. And we have to sit back and say, my goodness, where have I missed it, right? Why am I still here and I know that it's time for me to shift? Where am I missing the good idea that I was supposed to have? It's just a matter of going back and referencing maybe that journal that you've kind of forgotten you've had and go back and take a look at what you wrote down. When you live inspired, you have the power to influence the heart of every person in your home, honestly. Protect your quiet time as if it's your most prized possession. Out of it will flow your destiny and everybody's destiny around you. So if you are a woman and you are not inspired by your life and you are down and depressed and having pity parties, listen, everybody around you, including your spouse and your kids, if you're married and you have children, will feel that. Because you don't have to say it. It's just you put a damper in the room. And if you're in that space, I want to encourage you to get a good idea that there is life after whatever situation you're having to walk through. And if you have a whole bunch of good ideas and you're like, all right, Brooke, talk to me. How in the world do I cultivate all this goodness that I have within me? Let's walk through this, okay? Go ahead again and reference your e-guide at the very top of that chat room. And let's walk through a few principles together that I think are very important for you. All right. Here we go. I'm going to go ahead and scroll down to that page. Okay. Principle and practical actions. Number 1, when you have a good idea, don't dismiss it. That's what most people do. They abort the good idea. And so you have to sit down and say, okay, I got this good idea. And what I'm going to do is pay attention to the ones that persist the most. Of course, if you got 20,000 gifts, especially as a woman, you got 20,000 talents, you don't even know where to start. You're like, oh my gosh, Brooke, I got all these things and I don't even know where to start. Just write them down. And over time, they'll begin to show themselves strong or not. Okay, just write it down for now. But pay attention to the ones that keep coming back to your ear space. I remember when I first started my company, Rock the Stage Fitness, and started training girls and training them to be in the best shape of their lives. I had some really good ideas, but their timing wasn't right. So I just wrote it down. But this year, I get to see the manifestation of what I've been dreaming about for so long. Sometimes ideas are just meant to wait, and you just got to write it down until the timing is right. But the idea continually was persistent. So even though the timing was off, I couldn't ignore it because it kept coming back to me. What keeps coming back to your heart? Write it down. Don't ignore it. Number 2, identify the timing for them. Sometimes you got to grow into the idea. If you're talking about getting married, if you're a single person, right? That's a good idea, right? It could be a good idea, especially if you're prepared for it. You may have to grow into the space of wifehood, or what we call it womanhood, wife styling, right? It's a style to wifehood. You want to make sure that you grow into the idea of whatever it is you're believing for. So it's not the external things, it's very much the internal things that you have to grow into the idea that you want. If you want to be an author, grow into that. That means you're already going to start writing chapters to your book. You can't wait until the very end and be like, why my book not published, or why isn't it finished? Because you didn't grow into it. And it can be that way with everything. Rearing your children. Why is it that at 18, your child either loves you and turns around and says, my God, my mom was blessed, or they turn around and they don't even turn around, right? They're ready to leave your house. You got to begin to realize what idea you want, what philosophy you want, what is a vision for everything around you that is underneath your influence, and begin to grow into the idea of that level of womanhood that you want. Number 3, never lose sight of your good ideas. Know that you're one good idea away from a greater life. It's the truth. There have been ideas that I've had in my heart that have been key to my next step. Womanhood University, which I talked about already, coaching women online to their best selves, was a good idea for me because there were so many women asking, how did you start a business and homeschool and do, and look happy, right? Halfway decent while you're doing it. Or how did you stay in shape, Brooke? I need to understand how do I balance all of this? So I kept getting the questions, but I'm only one person, so I don't have the time to keep pouring into everybody's life. Womanhood University was a good idea for me. So my point is this: what are your good ideas? How are they persisting? And then are you growing into them so that you can really walk out your best year? All right? One good idea away from a great life. Here's the next one. Identify your good idea and not others' good ideas. So what is for me is for me. My good ideas are going to be good for my purpose fulfillment. Your good ideas are going to be good for your purpose fulfillment. But there may be some ideas that you have that will be good for me. Let's make that very clear. There are going to be people that are surrounding you who will be trustworthy comrades. We call them purpose partners at Womanhood University. They have been sent to your life to help you to fulfill purpose. And as they come, they're going to give you some good ideas that are going to help you to live your life on top. So as they come into your life, you want to identify who has been sent into your life for good and who has not been sent into your life for good, right? You got to identify who's in your life and discern why they're there. And then the people who have good intentions for you and really understand who you are and what you've been created to do, pay attention to the ideas that they bring to your table. There's some ideas that I've had that are awesome ideas, but they weren't for me. They were for the people that were around me. And so it's almost as if the revelation dropped into my spirit, but I was able to share with somebody else who it was really for. And it's caused change in their life as well. What is my point? Be cautious about imitating other people in their good ideas. What you want to do is get clear on what is yours and what is not yours. And as you do that, you'll begin to walk into a new level of life because your good ideas become yours. And you're able to authentically and confidently walk into another level of living because you're putting on another level of understanding. That's all life is about. If you can get understanding about where you are and what you are to be doing and the ideas that are literally coming at you and figure out where to place them, then you're gonna have an amazing life. All right, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cultivate your idea carefully. What does that mean? Surround yourself with other champion thinkers. They will prune your perspective. So there's times in which people are around me. I'll talk about my peers. Women who are dreaming and they're doing and they're executing. And they'll come to me with a good idea and then we'll kind of sharpen each other to kind of talk about whether or not now is the best time. What does that look like? How will this affect, your family? How will this affect what you said you wanted to do last year? So pruning is important. And being around other women who have a champion mindset who will not be envious of you. You can't be friends with somebody who's envious of you. That's a whole nother topic. But if a lady or your friend is jealous of you, you probably can't. She is very challenging to be her friend because she can't really celebrate you. She will never truly be happy for you. You got to think yourself clear about those who surround you. But I promise you, if you can have a group of championship mentality type women that are around you, they'll prune you in your perspective so that as you move into this year, honestly, you'll be able to live at a very clearer level. And then good ideas will then be executed a lot smoother because you have people who are like-minded. All right. Ideas are not only for, good ideas are not only for a few people, honestly. I think sometimes we look at other women and we're like, wow, how did she do that? Right? And we can be inspired by them. There's many women that are around me or that I know of that I am just like, my goodness, how did she do that? That is amazing. I celebrate her, right? That level of exposure that I've gotten to certain women and even they're behind the scenes, I'm just impressed. And what I realize is that their level of success is not only for them. And your level of success is not only for you. There's levels for us to continuously work toward. And as you do that, you got to realize that it's not just for a select few. It's only for those who develop the habits that are necessary to go to another level. All right. So good ideas can be cultivated. You need the right community. You need to know when the right timing is. You need to be able to write them down so that you can cultivate them and be able to really help them to grow and develop. But then you also have to develop behind the scenes to be able to handle the load of life. All right. Fourth step for tonight in thinking yourself clear is about how to redeem your time when you feel like you've missed opportunities. So this is really important because I think that a lot of women feel as if they've missed opportunities, and you may have. There's some times in which I feel like I missed opportunities. Actually, not too long ago, I was like, now how did I miss that, right? There was something that happened, and I won't go into detail because it's still kind of raw. But there was just a situation where I was just like, man, how did I miss that? And did I make the wrong choice? And I should know better, right? I should have chosen better. I should have maybe not have done, and it wasn't anything bad that I did. It was just hearsay. What is my point? There are some times in which all of us have felt like we've missed opportunities, not just you, all of us. And how do you redeem yourself for that? And the reason I'm talking about it tonight is because if you don't think yourself clear as you're moving into this next level of life and you feel as if you've missed opportunities, it will prevent you from moving into this new year and really a new level of life. And so sometimes the hesitation, because of what we missed in the past, prevents us from moving into what is next. I got some questions for you that I want you to work through after tonight's call, and that'll be on your own. But the first thing you got to do is calm yourself and work through your raw emotions. If you feel like you've missed opportunities, that is hurtful and it is disappointing. I heard somebody the other day say that if you live a disappointed life, you live a disconnected life. And you don't want to do that. If you have been disappointed by whatever opportunity you felt like you've now missed out on, you're going to have to deal with this raw emotion so you can move on. Because in order for you to live at a level of higher thinking and to pursue something greater, even though you may have missed something before, your mindset has to be, I may have missed that, but I'm about to move into something greater. That has to be the mindset. This is the season of life that I'm in. I can't go back and fix it. It is what it is. I got to keep going. Because if I get stuck here, I will never, like this, it's like whenever you make a mistake, you begin to kind of think about other people who made mistakes, and then you share that mistake with them, and then y'all have a pity party together. It's like a gathering of sorrowful women, right? So you kind of are just wallowing in your sorrow. Girl, I did this. Can you believe it? And then you try and compete. Yeah, girl, I did that too. And this is what happened to me. And then the third person comes in and I did that too. And this is what happened to me. So all of y'all are just in this sorrow. But that doesn't give you life. What you have to do is change that circle of pity party friends and begin to link up with other women who are going to say, you did that, but that's not who you are. Let's move to another level of thinking and another level of life so that you can pursue what is next in your life. And that's how we're going to redeem this time. You missed that opportunity. It is what it is. Let's move on. Okay? Really important. How do you do that as well? You're going to create a culture of celebration with those that are around you. When you have a camaraderie, or I should say literally a troop of women who are going to celebrate you, or even men too, who can celebrate you, and where you're going, it'll make a huge difference in your life. So what you want to do is just simply rewrite your plan. Rewrite it. You missed the last opportunity. It is what it is. So what we're going to do is going to go back to the drawing board and rewrite based on where we are. And we're going to keep moving. Because I can't get stuck. If I'm now 40, I can't get stuck at what I missed at 30. I got to keep moving. And then finally, we want to try again. Right? So you're going to pick yourself back up. Try it again. Y'all, I have failed so many times. And I think what happened to me was that I didn't think myself clear. And that's dangerous. Whenever you are unsure or you are confused or you are double-minded, it costs you. It costs you because you are now being pulled in so many different directions, and it's really a distraction. To be pulled in so many different directions and you are so unsure about which direction to take next. So you got to sit down and write the plan again and try again. Every time that I've failed, I've learned to laugh at myself and be like, but I tried, right? It may not have worked out the way that I wanted to, but I tried. And many people in life do not have the story that they tried, right? They kind of get stuck on a hamster wheel. They are in their busy working life, and that's all that they know. And they never try and engage in a level of faith like many of us on this call are believing for tonight. So think yourself clear. I remember when I first got it started and we were building our brands, what I realized is that because I had so much in me and there were so many gifts in me, that my brands were getting convoluted, right? So I was thinking about doing one thing, and then that one thing kind of meshed into something different, and then that other thing kind of got involved in something different. So it looked real messy. And I'm grateful for the messiness because it allowed me to think through it. And from the outside looking in, I probably look real crazy because I have like 50 things going on at once. But I'm grateful for the processing of thinking it through because now it's crystal clear to me. And so I got a fitness brand. I have a Womanhood University. I have power couples. They're all so different. But I can't reach power couples or people who are married, who are entrepreneurs, if I don't have a business that is working, right? And if I can't reach women, if I haven't walked through womanhood myself. So I had to realize that these were all things that God has given me as multiple streams of impact and income. And both of those are important because what it allows me to do is to be more influential in everything that is around me. So it may not be that you have the missed opportunity and that your life is over. There's life after that. If you've messed up, my God, get back up, rewrite your plan, and try again. It's okay. It looked crazy from the outside looking in, all the things that we had going on. Now it's crystal clear. And I am so assured of what we're supposed to be doing in this season of life. And I want the same thing for you. I want you to be encouraged right where you are. That there may be many things that you have been called to do. And it's going to take some time to figure that out. But what you want to do is just start with the one thing that you have right in front of you. And over time, it'll begin to unveil. It doesn't mean that you have to drop the other ideas. You just got to start with one good one. And as you begin to develop that one good idea, the rest of them will fall into place. Don't jump prematurely. Take time to plan. Write out a vision and make sure it's effective. If it's not working for you, you don't need it, right? If you're not dominating this vision, then what's the point of writing it out in the first place? It may not be that vision doesn't work. It may be that you're not working your vision. Take time, ladies, to think yourself clear. 2018, I guarantee you, is going to be a best year yet for a lot of people. And it's going to be for those women in particular who have thought themselves clear. This is your moment and it's your time. I want to invite you, the very last thing that I'm going to talk about, actually two things. I want to invite you to make sure that you complete that e-guide tonight. Don't allow it to be something else that's just sitting on your shelf, that's collecting dust. That's what we do a lot of the time, and that's why we're missing it when it comes to living a life of clarity. Take time to write it out, to make it plain, and to be effective. The world needs you. There are so many people who are struggling, and they're trying to figure out how to live a better life, and they don't know how, and you're their answer. All right? You're the light that they need. Okay. I want to invite you finally to Womanhood University. We talked about this already at the beginning. I have nothing up my sleeve. Womanhood University will absolutely change your life. What does it look like? It's 4 weeks worth of learning all about womanhood. This year we're focusing on what are called the 6 universal roles of a woman. And what we're doing is we're walking through what it means to be a woman and how to be able to understand what it means to live at your best self. And then you're going to walk through what it means to be what we call a legacy builder, to be the woman in your home that's setting culture and setting vision. Listen, my household runs beautifully and smoothly, and it wasn't by chance. That didn't just happen. It wasn't a big bang theory. It was intentionality and me setting systems in place, and I want to be able to share that with you. And then the third thing we want to talk about, just all the different levels of womanhood. We're going to walk through what it means to have a vision in your heart and how to fulfill that. How do you get clear on that? And so there will be videos that we'll be posting. I'll be coming live alongside the Dean, Dr. Manisha White. We'll also be digging deep in regard to application. So you'll be getting coursework that will be outlined, that you'll be walking through, that will cause you to reflect, to stop and reflect at the beginning of 2018 so that the remainder of your year is set. You'll have a plan in hand and you'll know exactly what you need to do as you move into the remaining months. What is so surprising to me is that with Womanhood University, I have women who have walked through this with me who have already enrolled and they are back in the course. Every year is different, but what a compliment, right? For them to come back and say, Brooke, womanhood changed my life. There is no way I would not enroll. That's what I'm talking about. You want to be surrounded by women like that who are not willing to invest in themselves, who understand the season of life that they're in and what is really required. 4 weeks online, no excuses. All you have to do is log in and it will literally change your life step by step. It's $197. And all you have to do is go to my website and there's a link there that we're going to post that you can, it's already posted. Thank you, Dr. Manisha. That you can simply click on. It'll be one of the best investments of your life. Where are you in this season? I talked about the level of investment, knowing where you are. Is it time to transition? Maybe, maybe not. Before you transition, though, I would love for you to work with me because I guarantee you that I have some nuggets of wisdom, sound principles that will help you in your pursuit of what is next. Okay? Many women get lost in the process, and I don't want that to be you. Take time to learn first and then execute next. Really key for clarity in your life. Do y'all have questions for me? We are just about finished. I have maybe 5 more minutes. But if you have questions, were there any questions that were posted, Dr. Manisha, in the room tonight? Let's go ahead and walk through a few questions before we close out. Even if it's about me and my pursuit of purpose, what that looked like for me, I would love to answer it tonight. And I'm grateful that you all spent the last hour with me on a Saturday night where you could be doing something else, but you're investing in yourself. Thank you so much. Any questions? You can type them in the chat room at this time. We want to make sure that we answer those tonight. Anybody? Okay. I see someone typing now, and I'm reading through some of the comments in the room as well. Chelsea, we can go RVing together. See? We can leave. Listen, if the men don't want to go, listen, we're going to pack up our kids and take them on a trip. Oh, gosh. Anything else you all want to share? I promise you all, there were some powerful nuggets that were shared tonight that I really believe are key. Sometimes we just miss it. It's not that we don't love life or we don't love the engagement with life, but there are some levels of living that we have not even tapped into that are waiting for us to simply get clarity. The more you're clear, the more you can access. Clarity gives you clearance. It gives you clearance. If you can't think yourself clear, then you don't get promoted to the next level. That's all it is. So think yourself clear about who you are, why you exist, and what you are to do. I guarantee you, success is inevitable once you're able to walk through that processing. All right, any questions? If not, we're going to close out for tonight. So we're good?
We have questions.
We have questions. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
When is the latest to register?
Ooh, great question. For Womanhood University, thank you. I didn't even mention the date. So Womanhood University begins next Monday, which is January the 22nd. And so that will be the last day to register, would be that Monday. We want you in. And if you're saying to me, Brooke, listen, I don't have 197. That may be you in the room. What we've done is we have just 2 options for you. You can pay the 197 flat rate and just be done. Or you can just split it into 2 payments. And that website, the link that Dr. Manisha posted, you can simply pay 1 installment, and then you'll pay the second installment within 2 weeks. Okay? So that'll be your option if you wanted to. But Monday the 22nd is the last day to enroll. And it will, again, just be a great experience for you. Very valuable. Any other questions, Dr. Manisha?
Let's see.
Oh, is the course pre-recorded?
Mhm.
Good question. So for our online version this year, you would need Facebook accessibility. And so everything that you need will be posted there. So you're able to go in and take a look at all the coursework at your leisure. We will hold you accountable though. So as we're posting every day, there will be enough information for you to develop. After the first week, you're going to be like, my God, this was incredible. It will be extremely valuable for you. But after, again, it's at your pace. So everything will be recorded. Some things will be live, but regardless of if it's live or pre-recorded, you'll be able to go back and reference it at your leisure. And I think that may be your question. What days are the live courses? You'll get notification prior to. If we are going live, we'll make sure that you are aware so that you can plan. But it will be sometime in the weekday at night, and typically after 8:30 is what we find works best for the women. Okay. 8:30 Eastern Standard. And was that it? What are some of the challenges that you face when making the transition from corporate to your business? Great question. I think, and I'll speak from my personal self first. When I decided to leave corporate America, I was actually working for a private firm. And so it wasn't like a Fortune 500 company. And so my transition from corporate to home, of course, was just adjusting to the income levels. So I didn't get a check every single month or every 2 weeks and what that looked like. It was me having to go to work and figure it out for myself. So that for sure was a huge transition. So what I did was I cut back a lot. My lifestyle completely changed. I talked about seasons earlier, and I think this is really key, knowing where you are and what you want for the long term. So I was willing to sacrifice and not go shopping, not do a lot of things that I was used to doing because I realized that I wanted to stay at home and raise my kids, right? So that lifestyle shift was something that was really big for me. I also wrote out a plan. I figured out what I wanted or what I visualized. And even though the plan wasn't perfect, it was something for me to work from. And over time, my plan wasn't perfect, but I'm going to tell you what, the life that I've experienced was better than my plan. So the plan was a foundation for me that allowed me to experience even more engagement with life that I would not have had I not had something to kind of route me. In addition to that, I really surrounded myself with people who were also dreaming big. And they dream big but small. We talked about that, right? And so them dreaming and them having as examples and partners in my pursuit of purpose was really helpful for me as well. Whenever I felt discouraged, whenever things didn't work out and I didn't see the way, right? Which happened quite a bit. Whenever I just kind of struggled with the next instruction of obedience. I've had times, y'all, where I have been obedient in tears, where it was tough. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what you want me to do? And so just having, again, a community of people, and it wasn't a big community, but not doing it alone was key for me. Also being in agreement with my husband was important. Him and us being on the same page. If your spouse is not in agreement with your transition, I would caution you. I would say for you to wait. And that may be a hard thing for you to understand, but agreement and peace in your home is more valuable than disorder. So my husband's agreement, his name is Raymond. Raymond's agreement with me staying at home was pivotal for me to have peace. And inner peace, y'all, is more valuable than gold. So you want to make sure that, again, you have that agreement if you are married and with your spouse. I have I could keep going on in that list, but I hope that those 3 things were helpful for you.
We have another question. Share best practices. Cheryl Carroll out of Bahamas.
Yes.
Share best practices to manage your business while working full time as well.
Oh, great question. So I did that too. So a phase of my I want to say transition into full-time entrepreneurship was working full-time in business and then working my business on the side. So what that looked like for me, and it may be different for you, is that during the day I would go to work and I dedicated myself to the job. I didn't work on my business at the job. That was important. I remained dedicated to the leader that I had, the entrepreneur that I was working for. I was on his clock. And even though he was super helpful, and I'm sure he would not have minded, I wanted to make sure that I was honorable in that regard. Whenever I would get up really early and I would just plan and dream. I would go to work, and honestly, planning and dreaming early in the morning, it helped me maintain my sanity. Because as you well know, those of you who are wanting to transition and you feel that itch, that itch can cause you to leave prematurely and leave miserably and burn bridges. So it was important for me to leave well. And so me dreaming in the morning preserved my mentality. So when I went to work, I knew it was short term. So I was good because I knew I wasn't going to be there forever, right? And then after leaving that job, I went home and I was able to still work in my vision quite a bit. And so I would spend hours after coming off from work, and it wouldn't be where it was unbalanced, right? But I did have a drive. So I would write out different things. I would read a lot of books in regard to my craft. I would, again, enroll in quite a few seminars and such so I could grow and develop. And then I would keep just writing out my vision. When I say I'm not kidding. Me writing out this vision for my family is nothing new for me. That was always a lifestyle trait that I had. And so for me, visions aren't just this, again, blanketed thing, line by line. How is this going to be real? How can I make this realistic? What can I do right now to bring this to fruition? So that's what I did in my part-time pursuit of being a full-time entrepreneur. I kept dreaming. And then bit by bit, as clients came my way, I kept adding them on to the extent that I could, that I wouldn't be overwhelmed. And then eventually, they begin to flood in quite a bit. 4 minutes is what I'm told. My time is up. Yes, 3 minutes. Did I minute pass that fast? Okay, so that's what I did. And so anyway, writing down that vision was super important for me. All right. How often is this course offered per year? That's a question. You have another question?
I just answered that.
Okay. Yes. One time a year. So you all, at the beginning of the year, this is it. This is the only webinar that I'll do for women. In fact, after this, what will happen is that we'll go right into womanhood, and that'll be for 4 weeks. And then my schedule picks up a lot. We travel here and abroad speaking. And so as much as I would love to offer womanhood again, I just can't. So that'll be it. It'll just be this one time. So I would love for you to take advantage. Any other questions? Chelsea, you're in. Yes, I've been waiting for you. Chelsea, girl, I'm about to go into tears thinking about you. You already know how I feel about you. This is your year. Y'all, what I love about womanhood is that it really does, it's a place of celebration. And we're going to celebrate you. You don't have to worry about being, we are not in competition with you because we live in our best lives too. So we're going to celebrate you as we sharpen our swords together to literally get out and impact this world in the ways in which we've been designed to do. I want to see you at the top. I do. You don't have to do that alone. That's a misconception to have to do life alone. You don't have to do that. It's a matter of finding the few who are sober-minded enough to walk it out with you. Yeah. Oh, so proud. Okay. I want to make sure that all hearts are clear. Any other questions before we close out? I think my time is up. I was told behind the scenes. Okay. Awesome. I'll answer one last thing because that's, again, just in terms of my transition, what was very helpful for me was partnering with other people. Sherelle, you asked that question, just in terms of transitioning. When I partnered with other people, it took my power quotient to 100. So when I was working by myself and trying to do things by myself, it was good. But when I began to partner with people who had similar visions to mine, and I was a missing link in their life and vice versa, it was a beautiful exchange. It caused everything to explode exponentially. So I would say to you, Sherelle, make sure that you partner with people who are like-minded and who have the same moral compass as you, because it will increase the acceleration of you going into full-time business. Really key. Okay. All right. I think that's it. Dr. Manisha, anything else before we close out this evening?
That is it.
Okay, ladies, I would love to have you. As we move into 2018, the only time that we can host womanhood, if you can do it, do it. I'm telling you, it will be a great investment as you move into the remainder of the year. It'll set you on track. And it's actually exciting and pretty fun and challenging, but inspirational. All the things you could think of emotionally. Finally, I just want to encourage you to take a look at what is called the Emotional Wheel. It's by Dr. Gloria Wilcox. Sometimes whenever you have missed opportunities, you're trying to figure out where you are, we misdiagnose ourselves. Take a look at that wheel. It's going to help you to identify where you are so that then you can identify where you need to go. Sometimes you kind of get stuck and you're thinking that you're feeling a certain way because of what the limited amount of knowledge that you have about feelings. Take a look so you can really diagnose what the deepest rooted emotion is, and then walk yourself right on out of that little maze of yours into your best year yet. Y'all, I'm Brooke Marie Enius. So glad y'all logged in tonight. It's time to live your absolute amazing purpose that you were created to live. And I'm so grateful that I had a chance to sow some seeds tonight and be a part of that. Please do me a favor. Can you go back and work on that e-guide for me? That would do my heart joy. And then inbox me and let me know what you thought. All right. Thank you all so much. Have a beautiful night. We'll see you next year. If you're not enrolled in Womanhood, I'll see you next week if you do Womanhood. If not, then I'll see you next year on Weekend of Wonderful. Talk soon. Bye-bye.